Fitness testing. Muscular fitness encompasses both muscular endurance and muscular strength. Muscular endurance represents a muscle's ability to resist fatigue and perform work for successive repetitions, while muscular strength defines the muscle's ability to overcome external resistance. Both are essential health-related fitness components. The following list describes the many health-related benefits of muscular fitness. Enhances the ability to carry out ADL or activities of daily living, which translates to an increase in self-esteem and fosters a sense of independence. Provides for musculoskeletal integrity, which translates to a reduction in common musculoskeletal injuries. Enhances or maintains fat-free mass and ultimately positively impacts RMR, which is an important aspect of weight management. Guards against osteoporosis by protecting or enhancing bone density. Enhances glucose tolerance, which can protect against type 2 diabetes, and reduces the cardiovascular response to resistance type diabetes, e.g. occupational lifting tasks. Not resistance type diabetes. Reduces the cardiovascular response to resistance type activities, e.g. occupational lifting tasks. Muscular endurance testing. Muscular endurance testing assesses the ability of a specific muscle group or groups to perform repeated or sustained contractions to sufficiently invoke muscular fatigue. Simple field tests can measure muscular endurance without much equipment or advanced training. When considering assessments for muscular endurance, trainers should always determine the relevancy and appropriateness of the assessments for their clients. The following are some important things to consider prior to any muscle endurance testing. Remember to always screen for low back pain and other orthopedic issues before performing any of these assessments. As with any test, any indication of pain during the test merits an immediate termination of the test and referral to a more qualified professional. If a client has a history of orthopedic issues such as diagnosed low back pain or is currently experiencing pain and/or discomfort, these tests should not be performed until he or she has consulted with a doctor. One of the most important things to observe during testing is that the client is maintaining proper exercise form with each repetition and/or the recommended posture for the specific exercise movement. The following tests are described in this section: push-up test, curl-up test, and bodyweight squat test. Push-up test. The push-up test measures upper body endurance, specifically of the pectoralis muscles, triceps, and anterior deltoids. Due to the common variations in upper body strength between men and women should be assessed while performing a modified push-up. The push-up is not only useful as an evaluation tool for measuring upper body strength and endurance, but is also a prime activity for developing and maintaining upper body muscular fitness. Contraindications and considerations. This test may not be appropriate for clients with shoulder, elbow, or wrist problems. Alternate muscular endurance tests or the copper 90-degree push-up test, where the elbows do not exceed 90-degree angle, may be a more appropriate test. A major problem associated with tests that require performance to fatigue is that the point of exhaustion or fatigue is highly influenced by an individual's level of motivation. Novice exercisers may not push themselves to the maximal point of exertion. The equipment you need is a mat, which is optional, and a towel or a foam block. Pre-test procedures. After explaining the purpose of the push-up test, explain and demonstrate the correct push-up version, standard or modified. The hand should point forward and be positioned shoulder width apart, directly under the shoulders. The hips and shoulders should be aligned, i.e. rigid trunk, and the head should remain in a neutral to slightly extended position. The goal of the test is to perform as many consecutive and complete push-ups as possible before reaching a point of fatigue. The push-ups must be steady without any rests in between the repetitions. Explain that only correctly performed push-ups are counted. Encourage the client to perform a few practice trials before the test begins. Test protocol and administration. The test starts in the down position and the client can begin to test whenever he or she is ready. Count each complete push-up until the client reaches fatigue. A complete push-up requires full elbow extension with a straight back and rigid torso in the up position, and the chest touching the trainer's fist, a rolled towel, or foam block, without resting the stomach or body on the mat in the down position. The test is terminated when the client is unable to complete a repetition or fails to maintain proper technique for 2 consecutive repetitions. Record the score on the testing form. Classify the client's score using the table 8-TAC-18. For example, if a 46-year-old female client completed with a total of 23 modified push-ups, she would be classified as good, which signifies that her upper body muscular endurance scored very well. Clients who are sedentary or unaccustomed to working the upper body are likely lacking in upper body strength and endurance. If the muscles of the upper body are weak, this can lead to poor posture and a variety of musculoskeletal problems. In the fitness setting, there are a variety of strength training activities that can be incorporated into a client's training program that would help increase muscular fitness in the pectoralis, triceps, and deltoid muscles group, individually or collectively. The push-up itself is a great exercise for developing muscular strength, endurance, and overall tone in the upper body. Push-ups can be modified to accommodate a variety of clients, e.g. wall push-ups. Push-ups do not require any equipment and can be performed virtually anywhere. For these reasons, push-ups are a beneficial exercise to add to any client's home exercise program. Curl-up test. The curl-up test is used to measure abdominal strength and endurance. Like the push-up test, this test requires the client to perform to fatigue. The curl-up is preferred over the full sit-up because it is a more reliable indicator of abdominal strength and endurance and is much safer for the exerciser. The full sit-up requires additional recruitment of the hip flexors, which places increased loads across the lumbar spine. Many clients are also inclined to pull on the neck in an effort to generate momentum during a full sit-up, potentially increasing the risk for injury in the cervical region. Most clients will be able to perform the curl-up test unless they suffer from low back problems. The curl-up test is an easy and inexpensive method for evaluating abdominal strength and endurance. Contraindications. The following issues should be considered prior to the performance of abdominal strength assessments. Clients with low back concerns should check with their physicians prior to attempting the test. Clients with cervical neck issues may find that this exercise exacerbates their pain. All clients should be encouraged to relax the neck and rely on their abdominal muscles to do the work. The equipment you need is a mat. Pre-test procedure. After explaining the purpose of the curl-up test, explain and demonstrate the proper body position and movement technique. The starting position requires the client to be supine with feet flat on the floor, both knees bent at a 90-degree angle, and arms crossed at the chest. Cue the client to perform a controlled curl-up to lift the shoulder blades off the mat, approximately 30 degrees of trunk flexion, and then lower the torso back down to momentarily rest the shoulders completely on the mat. The head does not need to touch the mat. Instruct the client to exhale on the way up and inhale on the way down. Encourage the client to perform a few practice or warm-up repetitions prior to the test. Test protocol and administration. The client starts in the down position and begins on the trainer's instruction. Count each complete curl-up until the client reaches fatigue. Make sure the client is not holding his or her breath during the test. The client must not flex the cervical spine by curling the neck. Record the client's score on the testing form as the maximum number of curl-ups completed. Classify the client's score using table 8-TAC-19 or 8-TAC-20. For example, if a 27-year-old male client completes a total of 36 curl-ups, he would be classified in the upper range of below average, signifying that his abdominal endurance needs improvement. Body weight squat test. This test assesses muscular endurance of the lower extremity when performing repetitions of a squat and stand movement. This test is only suitable for individuals who demonstrate proper form when performing a squat movement. It can be used to effectively gauge relative improvements in a client's lower extremity muscular endurance. Contraindications. While this test mimics a primary movement that most individuals perform on a daily basis, it may not be suitable for a deconditioned or frail client with lower extremity weakness, a client with balance concerns, a client with orthopedic issues, especially in the knees, a client who fails to demonstrate proper squatting technique. Pre-test procedure. After explaining the purpose of the body weight squat test, explain and demonstrate the proper technique. Allow for adequate warm-up and stretching if needed. Evaluate the depth of the squat using the following criteria, figure 8-17. Thighs reach parallel to the floor. It is permissible to allow individuals to move through a reduced range of motion and record that data on the testing form to be used for comparison later on in the program. To enhance balance and stability, the client may extend his or her arms to the sides or front for balance. The goal of the test is to complete as many controlled and proper repetitions as possible. Once the client exhibits fatigue where he or she can no longer complete a full repetition, terminate the test. This includes an inability to fully lower into the down position, pausing to rest, or faltering as he or she stands. Encourage the client to practice this movement prior to attempting the test. Test protocol and administration. When ready, the client begins performing squat repetitions. Count only complete repetitions until any test termination criteria is reached. Use the information presented in Table 8-21 to categorize the client's performance. Muscular strength testing. Muscular strength is an important component of physical fitness. Strength is dependent on variables such as muscle size, diameter, limb length, and neurological adaptations. Maintaining muscular strength is important for everything from performance of ADL to sports performance. Strength can be expressed in either absolute strength or relative strength. Absolute strength is defined as the greatest amount of weight that can be lifted one time. In sports science, this is defined as 1 repetition maximum, or 1-RM. On the other hand, relative strength takes the person's body weight into consideration and is used primarily when comparing individuals. Relative strength is the maximum force a person is able to exert in relation to his or her body weight and is calculated using the following formula. Relative strength equals absolute strength divided by body weight. Absolute strength equals the amount of weight lifted. Just as in previous assessments, it is important to understand the goals of the client being tested and then choose tests that are associated with those goals. Does the client want to improve overall function, or is he or she interested in precise performance gains? Is the client interested in total body fitness, or is he or she interested in specific muscle fitness, e.g. to rehabilitate an injury? Does the client need to enhance muscular power, strength, and/or endurance? For example, 1 repetition max is not well correlated to muscular endurance. Key concept. When a personal trainer is deciding on an appropriate strength test, any 1 repetition max test should be chosen with thoughtful consideration. 1 RM test should only be performed during phase 3 or 4 of the ACE-IFT model as appropriate. A certain amount of risk is associated with maximal exertion, including musculoskeletal injury or worse. Submaximal strength testing can be used with a high amount of accuracy to determine a client's likely 1 repetition max. There is no single assessment that evaluates total body muscular strength. Therefore, a variety of tests would be appropriate to determine strength in different muscle groups. Strength testing is important to determine muscular fitness, identify areas of weakness or imbalances, monitor rehabilitation progress, and assess training effectiveness. The following strength tests are described in this selection: 1 repetition bench press test, 1 repetition leg press test, and 1 repetition maximum squat test. Strength tests will likely be incorporated into a comprehensive assessment session. A client should warm up prior to strength testing to reduce the likelihood of injury and enhance overall strength. Prolonged static stretching prior to strength testing should be discouraged as it may decrease performance. Normative data are not available for all forms of 1 repetition max testing, and in most cases, this form of testing is most valuable as a source of baseline data against which the trainer can measure a client's future performance. Improvements in 1 repetition max can be very motivating for many clients as they are a clear indication of strength development. Considerations and contraindications for 1 rep max testing. Many strength tests are performed using free weights, so proper form and control are necessary elements. Novice exercisers may not have the familiarity or skill to handle the heavier free weights. Beginning exercisers are often unsure of their abilities and tend to quit before their true maximum. Proper breathing patterns are necessary. Clients should avoid the Valsalva maneuver or any other form of breath holding. Individuals with hypertension and or a history of vascular disease should avoid a 1 rep max testing protocol. 1 rep max bench press test. This test assesses upper extremity strength using a fundamental upper extremity movement, the bench press. It is only suitable for individuals who demonstrate proper form in performing a bench press and are free from a history of shoulder problems. Equipment: barbell and bench. Weights ranging from 2.5 pound plates to 45 pound plates. Collars. Spotter in addition to the trainer is preferred. Pre-test procedure. After explaining the purpose of the 1 rep max bench press test, explain and demonstrate the proper technique for the bench press. The client is supine with both feet planted firmly on the floor or on a riser to accommodate a neutral or flat back. The back and neck should be relaxed and their position should not change during the exercise. The hand should be positioned slightly wider than shoulder width apart so the elbows are at a 90-degree angle or slightly less at the bottom of the movement range. Proper range of movement during bench press is from arms fully extended, bar position above the chest, to the bar lightly touching the chest, bar located over the lower part of the sternum. The client should inhale while slowly lowering the bar and exhale while raising the bar. Breath holding or the Valsalva maneuver should be avoided. It is important for the client to communicate with the spotter if he or she cannot complete the repetition. Instruct the client not to lock the elbows and not to bounce the bar off the chest. Poor technique can cause injuries, so the client should not contort his or her body in any effort to display strength beyond his or her capabilities. Encourage the client to perform a few practice trials to ensure proper technique. The responsibilities of the spotter include providing assistance in racking and unracking the barbell and raising the bar during an incomplete attempt. Single spotting. The spotter stands behind the client in a split stance position with a deadlift or alternate grip, i.e. a mix of overhand grip and underhand grip, on the bar with the hands placed in the area between the client's hands. Double spotting. 2 spotters grasp either end of the barbell. The goal of the test is to determine the maximum amount of weight that can be lifted one time, i.e. the 1 rep max. It is important to avoid fatiguing the client by having him or her perform too many unnecessary repetitions. Finding a suitable starting weight is important. Test protocol and administration. Administer the test protocol for 1 rep max bench press. The client should warm up with 1 set of light resistance, approximately 50% of the anticipated 1 rep max weight. That allows 5 to 10 repetitions and then rest for 1 minute. Based on the client's warm-up effort, determine a suitable starting workload for the second set that allows for 3 to 5 repetitions, approximately 70 to 75% of the anticipated 1 rep max weight. And then allow the client to rest for 1 minute. Use the following guideline for determining workload increases throughout the test. In general, increase by approximately 5 to 10%. Next, have the client perform 1 heavy set of 2 to 3 repetitions at approximately 85 to 90% of the anticipated 1 rep max weight and rest for 2 minutes. Based on the client's third set, determine the next workload to find the client's 1 rep max effort. The 1 rep max chart provided in Table 8-23 can be used to make these calculations. For example, if Jose completes 5 repetitions at 185 pounds, 84 kilograms, this represents 87% of his 1 rep max. Therefore, the weight attempted for his first 1 rep max trial could be set at 213 pounds or 97 kilograms. That would be 185 pounds divided by 0.87, which equals 213 pounds. Allow the client to attempt this set. If the client is successful, he or she should rest for 2 to 4 minutes and repeat the 1 rep max effort with a heavier load. If the attempt was unsuccessful, decrease the load accordingly by 2.5 to 5% and have the client try again after resting for 2 to 4 minutes. Continue the up-down increments until a true 1 rep max is achieved. Ideally, the client should achieve his or her 1 rep max in 3 to 5 testing sets. Use the testing form to record the weight, progression, sets, repetitions, and any comments on the client's progress. The final weight load is recorded as the absolute strength. Calculate relative strength and record that value as well. For example, if Jose's actual 1 rep max was measured at 205 pounds and he weighs 175 pounds, then his strength to weight ratio, or relative strength, would be 1.17. which is 205 divided by his weight, 175. Use table 8-24 or 8-25 to rank the client's ability, which should be recorded on the testing form as well. The next page, page 243, has a variety of tables that list 1 rep max bench press testing protocol, i.e. set 1 to set 4 and above, and the number of repetitions and the intensity or approximate intensity, and resting intervals. Then you have your 1 rep max table, and then you have upper body strength categories listed from superior to very poor for both men and women. While Table 8-23 provides useful information, keep in mind that its widespread application is limited for several reasons. Much of the research to establish the 1 rep max repetition table was primarily based on research using trained male athletes. This table is based on single set research, and the values may need to be lowered with multiple set training. This table is derived from bench press, squat, and power clean exercises and has not been effectively validated using other exercises. This table is based on free weight exercises, and the values may need to be adjusted for machine-based exercises. This table has demonstrated accuracy for loads greater than 75% of the 1 rep max and is not accurate for lower intensities.